Today begins our Mother's Day series, and we have two wonderful and lovely mothers on today. We have Ashley Sanders and we have Heather Jenkins, and so we're excited to get to talk to these wonderful mothers about their experience being married to the preacher, and also having to deal with some expectations maybe that most preachers' wives who are mothers don't know exactly exist. And so we want to have a practical and very transparent conversation about this given topic, and hopefully it can help someone along the way. So I'm going to yield to you. You have anything you want to say for the introductory material?
Well, kind of like I told them, I look forward to learning myself from some OG moms,
Like you're a mom to a preacher kid. How you feel about that?
Well, I mean, right now I'm still very new into it. So I'm just, we all eating, we all dressed. That's already the first step.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she she talk about herself so wrong. I'm telling you, she does a phenomenal job. Like, I mean, of course, we're still new to it, but of course, yeah, I agree with her. We consider you guys the OGs, so just let your knowledge fall upon us, and we're gonna soak everything we possibly can up, and hopefully everyone who listens will do the same. So now we're gonna yield to you guys. We're gonna start with you, Ashley, if you would just tell us about you, who you are, where you're from, what you do, things like that.
Okay, well, my name is Ashley Sanders, as you already know, and I'm currently living in East Point, Michigan, but I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. Um, my husband, he's preaching at the Northeast Church of Christ, and we have 5 children, Blake, Elijah, Jeremiah, Zechariah, and Grace. And I work at Plasma Care in Farmington Hills, Michigan, and I work as a quality associate. So pretty much I'm making sure that the donor safety is being complied with, and that the product is being manufactured correctly.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Ashley. Heather, if you would.
Okay, my name is Heather Jenkins, and I am married to Jonathan, and we have 2 boys, Carson and Parker. We are originally from Georgia, living in Spring Hill, Louisiana. He is a preacher at North Arkansas Street Church of Christ. When I say that we live in Louisiana, we're top of the boot. Okay. We can throw a rock at the Arkansas state line. I am a mortician. I'm a funeral director and embalmer. So I take care of your deceased loved ones. And that's been my passion, and being a mom and being a wife. So I got my hands full, but.
Oh, I love it. I love a particular question. So without further ado, we're going to jump into question number 1. All right. And question number 1, just to give some intro to it, we talked about it briefly before we started, but I think in my experience, I've learned that the congregation usually have expectations for the people who hold titles in the church, which I guess can kind of be expected. But what usually doesn't get talked about are the expectations that the congregation has for people who don't hold titles in the church. And the only reason they have expectations for them is because of the association they have with the people who hold titles in the church. And so, Heather, we're going to start with you. How do you manage being the mother of the preacher's kids and dealing basically with the expectations of the congregation and the expectations of your husband/children?
I am very honest and open and transparent about the type of parent that I am and the type of children that I have. And in saying that, my children are exactly like the other people's children. My parenting is exactly like the other people's parenting. So I don't try to put myself on a podium. I don't try to put my children on a podium. There are Sundays that we're lucky that we're there before Bible class, and Parker, my youngest, may be wearing two different shoes. And I'm very honest with the fact that we may not ever meet up to your expectations. That's life. We strive to, but it's hard to be a parent and to meet up to your expectations, let alone to meet up to other people's expectations. So I just try to not set the bar low. not set the bar low, but if we can get out of the house by 9:15 for Bible class at 9:45, we are killing it. You know what I'm saying? We like so it kind of like, okay, if we can be showered and dressed by 8:45 to be out by 9:15, like, good job, mama. Good job. Like I'm getting it. So yeah. So and then I start like small goals. Like, okay, if we can make it to Bible class without being disciplined, or make it to Bible class without having to be taken out, if we can make it between Bible class and worship without anything happening. So it's just small goals and small expectations, so I don't feel like I've let myself down or everybody else down.
Yeah, I love that. I want to come back and touch on something that you mentioned earlier too, but Ashley, I'm going to yield to you. I can repeat the question if you want, or do you remember?
No, really. Yeah, I remember the question. Okay. Really, everything Heather was saying, I agree 100% on, because it is a struggle, you know, and to have that burden of them having the expectations on you to take on more, you know, it can be frustrating. And so my husband does a really good job in protecting me. Sometimes they come at him and they'll say things like, hey, maybe your wife should do this, or maybe she could do that. And he does a really good job with protecting me against all of that. You have your few members that may, you know, come up to you. But you just have to be, like Heather said, you got to be honest with them. You got to be honest and just say, look, I'm juggling a lot. There's a lot that I already have to take on. And they usually respect that, you know. They don't hassle me about it. So yeah, that's pretty much my outlook on that.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I wanted to, one thing I'm sorry. Okay. One thing I wanted to touch on too. I think Heather, you mentioned that setting small goals, and I guess you can even say setting realistic goals, and not really trying to put yourself on a pedestal, which I think by virtue of Jonathan being your husband and he's the preacher, when we know we shouldn't put the preacher on a pedestal either, it's almost like you're elevated because you're his wife, and you don't get the same opportunities to make the same mistakes that someone else or some other wife would, who goes to the same congregation, but except their husband doesn't hold a title in the church. And so I don't, and this is just kind of off the top of my head, but I'm sure you guys can answer it. But what do you think that some of those expectations, like do you think they come from scripture? Like, do you think women were looked like that in scripture, that, you know, were married to someone that held a position in the church?
No.
So it's culture then. It got to be culture. It's just culture.
Oh yeah.
And I think I heard one guy was like, he was saying, yeah, it's the monotonous tradition of the expectations of those who are dead. I'm like, ooh.
Ooh, yeah. Well,
you know, it's the who you are and how the people think you're supposed to be. You know, the preacher is supposed to be the top of the tier. You know, they're supposed to be the most spiritual. They're supposed to be all these things. Well, the wife is supposed to be dead in line with that. And I'm not that way. I don't spend 12 plus hours studying for a sermon. Like I said, I do good to make sure my kids are fed and dressed and, you know, at Bible class on enough time. So to put me on the same level as him is unrealistic.
Right.
So it's hard for the congregation to look at us as one, you know, because we're supposed to be in scripture. We are to come together as one, but we are two separate people living two separate lives, doing two separate jobs that sometimes me and Jonathan are like two ships sailing in the night. He's going one way and I'm going the complete opposite.
Right. I like that. I like that analogy. Yeah.
I mean, that's true. You know, and we learned that at Memphis. That was something that was for 2 years. I was like, who's this? Where's Jonathan? So
right. No, I like that. I like that. Did you want to add anything?
No, actually, I think I'm good right now. I was looking at the the next thing here, because it reminded me of something in a situation.
Well, yeah. I won't speak on that. I'll wait then. Well, Ashley, will yield to you this time for the second question.
Okay. So, in your experience, ladies, what are the key differences between being the Christian mother who is married to the preacher versus the Christian mother who is married to a Christian man who does not hold a particular title or position?
Okay, so with this question, the only difference is what we've been talking about is the expectations to me. That's the only thing I could come away with that. Like for instance, I don't know if you deal with this, Heather, but they expect you to have like the same Bible knowledge as your husband? Like I get that, and it's like, look, I didn't go to school, you know. It's not that I can't learn these things. I know that I can. And I try to do my personal study with God, but I'm not going to have the knowledge that he has. And I feel like sometimes they expect that. Other than that, I don't really know any other differences other than like our kids are like everybody else's kids, you know. So yeah, I don't really have anything else for that.
Okay. I think that was pretty good about the Bible knowledge stuff. I know that Key has something to speak to that. She I'm not gonna say it, but if you want.
I was just gonna chime in here. Yeah, I kind of faced that one my own self a little bit. Just because I was in a ladies' Bible class at one point, and somebody asked, the person who was leading the class asked a question, and so I just answered the question. I knew the answer to it, and then they were like, oh wow, yeah, she knew that, yeah. And then somebody else said, well, I hope she would know that she's the preacher's wife. And I'm like, ooh, well, good thing I happen to know it, because boy,
at least you haven't asked to lead the class yet. At least somebody else is stepping up and leading the class.
Oh yeah.
You know, as the preacher's wife, we should be leading all of the Bible classes for all ages except for the men's class.
Yep. Yep. That's yeah.
Yeah. Good. Yes. You haven't been faced with that yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah. We're going to yield to you now, Heather, for that second question.
My biggest thing is that, well, I mean, like Ashley said, like we've talked about the expectations of us, the expectations of our children, but it's the expectations of like daily living. You know, like I still have dishes in my sink, you know, like they probably do. It's living in that fishbowl that we are constantly watched, which is not a bad thing. Yeah, I'm not doing anything secretly that, you know, if they wanted to see, they can. But it's the, I don't know, I'm just like everybody else. You know, I'm not, just because my husband holds a title, you know, the title that we're supposed to hold the highest is that of a Christian, period. And we're all Christian. We're all supposed to be that title. So that's just what is the nitty gritty of it, is how we live our lives, because we're not different from anybody else.
I like that. It's, you know, one of the things I think it may be a little bit different, because I just thought about this, but both of their husbands are like, what do you say? The main guy? Yeah. See, I guess fortunately for us, I do have the privilege of working alongside someone older. And so I guess a lot of the things that may be expected of you two aren't necessarily expected of Key. But of course, I'm not sure with everything that she might have experienced here, but I would assume that there are some differences as far as like what the congregation expects of the lead guy versus what they expect of the associate guy. So I think all those were great examples. So I'm curious about what you think about number 3. And this time we'll start with you, Heather. How do you prepare on Sundays? All right. So for example, like in what ways does your routine with children accommodate your husband, who obviously has to preach that morning? And what are some pros and cons about that particular routine?
Our routine starts on Saturday nights, where the boys will shower. Both of them, we get them knocked out, get their clothes laid out, and then they go to bed. That way Jonathan has enough time to spend the evening studying, preparing. We finish the bulletins, because we do the bulletin, get that ready to print Sunday morning, get the last minute details, make sure our clothes are ironed or steamed or washed. I mean, let's make sure they're washed.
That's real.
Make sure we have stuff for lunch on, for when we come home on Sunday. Make sure we have everything as much as we can get prepared. And then Sunday morning, I'm normally the first one to wake up. So I drink coffee and shower, and then I wake up Jonathan. He is not a morning person. Woo, he's not a morning person. I'm a morning person. So I wake him up normally with coffee. We do not speak for 30 minutes. So I sit and I stare at him lovingly, like, I'm ready for you to talk to me. He drinks coffee and showers and wakes up. But 99% of the time, I make muffins. Okay. And if I don't make muffins, it's a bad day. I don't know. My boys get hangry and they don't make it to worship before they're in tears or they're in trouble or they're starving. So blueberry, chocolate chip, any kind of muffin that I have, I try to make. So it's breakfast. Breakfast for us is the number one pro with children, because then they have to go all the way till 12:30-ish hungry. So that's the biggest routine. Like last Sunday, I didn't have any milk, so I didn't have any muffins, and it was bad until
tragic.
Like, you know what? I'm running through McDonald's. I'm gonna get you a McGriddle, and that's how it's gonna be. So it's just trying to keep the routine of, okay, Daddy's got to preach. Leave him alone. Let him get into the right mindset that he's about to have to deal with, because that's a lot. I mean, I don't know how Ashley feels about Sunday mornings, and I mean, we're about to see how she feels, but Sunday are a tough day.
Mm-hmm. I have to agree. It is tough. And Heather, we do the same thing. I do the same thing. I have to get ready on Saturday, because if I don't, Sunday it's going to be a wreck. Sunday morning. So I do the same thing. Saturday is my day. I get clothes ready. The boys and my daughter gets cleaned, and they get into bed. I normally take care of the kids as well, so Ron can just do whatever he needs to prepare for Sunday. And on Sunday, I'm usually the first one up too. And I have to, get the boys up. The one good thing about my two older sons, they help me with my youngest son, so that I can tend to Grace and myself and, get dressed. I get breakfast ready for everyone, including Ryan, get his he likes to eat a boiled egg, and he has to have tea, coffee. So I let him take care of whatever he needs to, and I get everything else done for him. So it can be a smooth morning. It's not always smooth like I would like it to be. Mm-hmm. But we strive to get it done. So
I like that. That's a good routine.
I like
you
that too.
You taking notes, right?
I have been.
Now both of them get up first.
I know.
They just said they get up first.
I know. Like literally, as they were speaking, I said, "Boy."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got some work to do.
Thank y'all for sharing that.
I don't even compare to Ashley's. She's got 5 children. I only have 2. Yeah, I mean that.
I'm only struggling with the one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we just look when I was listening to you and Ashley, and I'm smiling. I'm thinking like, man, I complain about one child.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's something you're growing to,
yeah. Like it's Hank, I mean, seriously, kudos to you two. Like that is amazing, because I know Sundays are incredibly difficult for us, and we only have one. Well, we're expecting one now, because somehow, some way, Key started growing. But We expect another one now. And so I know one thing I told her that I did not want to do was to take separate cars. I said, I want us to ride together as a family, if at all possible. I think maybe twice we had to separate because, of course I can't be late, but it's all right if she come later, after me. So, I think one of the biggest routines, if you don't mind kind of sharing yours, like what is your Sunday morning routine?
Okay. Well, actually, honestly, a lot of it does start on Saturday night. So, okay. Now, unfortunately, I don't necessarily have the outfit out, but I have it in my mind and I need to pull it out because in your mind, you think it's one way, then the next one. Anyway, yeah, I know I got a lot of work to do, y'all. But, but yeah, so the next day I usually try to make sure, okay, Jabari's dressed. Daniel often does that too. So, I mean, because he does tend to get up earlier than I do, especially nowadays. This third trimester life is a little more difficult on me. But yes. So usually Saturday night, I like to make sure his diaper bag is together. Make sure the diapers, the snacks, and the toys are in there.
He has a suitcase, by the way. By diaper bag, she means suitcase. I mean, it's about 20 pounds.
I like to be prepared, and sometimes
you have to. Because the moment you're not prepared, you're gonna wish that you were prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I learned that in the beginning, man.
Yeah, and Jabari has a temper too. Like he, kind of like if something, because he has a routine too. I mean, if we're gonna be fair about it.
Yeah.
And so there are certain things that he expect. Like, so for instance, I get up the earliest, and I usually go. I mean, Jabari goes to bed first. I'm usually right after him. I'm not gonna lie, I cannot hang. I cannot stay up long. But usually I get up first and both of them expect food in the morning and I usually cook the food. And so like you mentioned you mentioned the muffins. I cook pancakes. They have to have pancakes in the morning. And so I look over at Kim like, what you want? She was like, pancakes. I said, all right. So I go make these protein pancakes but Jabari, he has his own little table with his chair. Mm-hmm. He comes down the stairs. We can hear him coming. And he's quiet and he kind of, he hit the corner like that. And then he walks to his table and he looks. And if there's no food, please illustrate.
Well, he has his moods, but and he's usually just like
and we're talking about a 1-year-old. Like,
it gets worse form sentences like, Mom, where's the muffins? Why don't I have muffins right here?
No, I guess
now it's, bruh, where are the muffins? Boy, from mommy to bruh.
I love it like that. It's just listen to how you guys prepare. Like, man, I mean, of course, we're all on like different levels. I feel like, but it's just the same thing. Sunday is. Who made the song Easy Like Sunday Morning? I'm like, Sunday morning is not easy whatsoever. He had to be talking about a select few people.
Man.
Easy. If it's easy, it's the calm before the storm.
Yeah. That's a nice way to put it. That is absolutely right. And then especially, I'm going to say, especially with one thing that usually causes us to sort of go over or possibly be late is that we're still fooling with a toddler. And so we think he's good, he's ready to go, his clothes on, and then we smell something. I'm like,
yep. I was gonna say it's usually something like that. We're about to walk out the door, and
don't let it be a blowout.
Woo! Thankfully, I'm not doing that.
I'm still going through it. I understand.
Yeah. But so let's see. I mean, there's one question that's my favorite. I'm not gonna overstep it, but yeah, it's you. I think Ashley, we yield to you this time. Yeah, Ashley, we yield to you this time.
Okay, ladies. So with all the juggling that we try to do with our husbands and our children, when do you have time to take care of yourself spiritually? So as far as communing with God, to breathe, what is your self-care routine?
Okay, so I just started doing this thing where I get up at 3 a.m. in the morning with Ronald. He gets up at 3:00 in the morning to work on his sermon. So I figured, hey, maybe I can get, my alone time with God then too. Do I do it every morning? No, but I strive to do that every morning. And just, read a passage, kind of meditate on it, make it relatable to myself. Also, when I go to work, I try to listen to a sermon, because I know when I get to work, my focus is not going to, be there. So I figured I could use that time, since I'm to myself, just listen to a sermon. And really, that's all I really have been doing to try to edify myself, because you don't have a lot of time in a day. It seems like, and then when I get home from work, my family needs me. So I felt like the best thing I could do is just get up early enough to have some time to myself.
Like that.
That is nice. I like that too.
Heather, what about you?
I have a 14-minute drive from my house to work. So typically, if I'm not talking to my parents, I listen to a podcast, like Wifey Wednesday. There's several of those podcasts that I enjoy listening to. I do not get up early. I might have to take that and start that. But my phone goes off at random times to say, hey, this is the scripture for the day. And on my phone, I have a little block that, I guess a widget that shows the scripture. So I'm able to look at it and click on it and see it every time I pull up my phone. When I'm at work, I'm at work. Luckily, I get to talk about God and faith a little bit because I am dealing with people that are grieving. Mm-hmm. So I get to add in a little bit of spiritual hope and peace in that aspect. And then when I get home, it's my family needs me. And I think as moms, we need to look at that as a ministry for ourselves, not really see it as I didn't have my time with God today. Like I had my time with God being the mom that he tells me to be, being the wife that he tells me to be, and really taking that Proverbs 31 and so and doing those things, being good with my hands and preparing meals, and all of that scripture I try to look at like, okay, I am doing this. I want my family to raise up and call themselves blessed because I'm in their lives. And it's kind of like I try not to be hard on myself if I skip a day, or if I didn't open my physical Bible that day, and really look at motherhood as a ministry.
Man, that's the first time I ever heard. That was nice. You want to speak to that? That's an interesting perspective.
I had a little heart palpitation with that one. I don't know. I felt something. I mean, I think one thing you said about like being hard on yourself. I know, like, as still a fairly new mom, it's easy for me, and I mean, I've heard other new moms say this as well, just to be hard on ourselves. Like, oh, like you said, I didn't open my physical Bible today. Or even when it comes to just managing the household, like, oh man, I should have did this then, or at that time, or whatever. And it's like, I think that sometimes we lose focus on what the priority is because we get a little wrapped up.
The best advice that I was given when I was a new mom is the dishes will always be dirty. Always. There will always be laundry to clean. Your babies are not going to be little. They're not going to come up to you and say, hey, mom, let's go play monster trucks outside. Let's go run in the yard barefooted. Let's read a book. Let's dance in our living room. They're not going to be that. I mean, I'm now dealing with an 8-year-old who doesn't want to cuddle, all the time. He doesn't want me to hold him or rock him to sleep. So I leave dishes in the sink. After dinner, we want to play Uno Attack. You know what? Throw them in the sink. Let's bring out Uno, and I will wash them when I can. So that's really the philosophy that I live. And I like that. web. He's like,
Yeah,
well, I know. I'm just encouraging her to
my,
speak to this. This is I know this is something she struggles with, so I know she has a lot to say.
Yes, my name is Kenita Webster, and I have a problem with the dishes. And and yeah, I don't know. It's like I think about those things, especially I think after a certain amount of days or whatever, or it could just be a day, and I'm like, oh man, I should just knock those dishes out. But then I'm like, oh well, Barry's gonna go to sleep soon, and we haven't done our learning time. And some days I say forget it. We're gonna do our learning time today, and then other days I'm like, okay, well looks like he's a little busy with his slide, so I'm gonna get a few dishes in there.
She literally sneaks to the kitchen, tiptoes to the kitchen.
Listen, go to Walmart, get a kitchen buddy, and let him rinse while you wash.
Yep, it's already in my cart.
I have a small seat or a small sink, and I wash because my boys cannot figure out how to get the food off of the plates. Parker rinses, and Carson dries and puts up because he's my tallest, and he knows where pretty much everything is. So, I mean, it takes so long, so much longer, but it's bonding. Yep. And I like it, and it really knocks two birds out with one stone. Dishes are done. I'm spending time with my boys.
So. That's true. I like that. I like
that too. I look forward to Barry get a little bigger. We can do that.
Yeah, right now he'll destroy the dishes. So
it's over with.
Yeah. So no, I like that. I like what you guys said about that. Something that came across my mind. Do you besides like say the spiritual aspect of it with reading scripture or praying, I mean, what about the self-care part of it? Like, do you exercise maybe? I don't know. I know, Heather, you mentioned like card games, something like that. Like, do you enjoy something that maybe you find the time to do that particular thing
for yourself?
Yeah, just for you.
I go to the gym. I've started back with the gym, so I do that, but the boys are normally with me. So I find virtual 5Ks online, and I register my boys, and they send a medal. And then I'm like, okay, well, you got to walk 3.2 miles and you get this medal to hang on your wall. So I do that. I do try to get my hair done like every 6 months. So I do that, but I really don't have a self-care, as a mom, I try to put on my energy into and I mean, that's horrible to say, and it's kind of like, man, I really do that. Like I didn't want to be that mom, but I am,
And that's the point. Like one of and actually we're going to yield to you too for the same question, but that's the point of it. I looked online and just searched some of the basic things that women who are married to preachers struggle with as far as like, what can I do for me? And that was like number one, self-care. I feel like you don't have time because I mean you're looking out for the children, and as you stated, many mothers don't want to be that mom, but it kind of just happens. Like you don't even know how it happens, but it just happens. So Ashley, I'm going to yield to you. I mean, what are do you have any self-care routines or things you like to do?
Yeah, it's the same thing for me. I have to kind of find ways to self-care for myself, and Ron he does help with that. Sometimes I feel bad to ask him because he already has the kids all day when I'm at work, but I do ask him, and he'll take the kids for me, so I could maybe I need to wash my hair, or I need to get cleaned. He's really good at helping me with that, and if he can't, like I said, my two older boys, they're good to help. They may play with Grace and preoccupy her so I could do whatever I need to do. We do recreation. Ron would find somebody to watch the kids, and I'm able to go to the movies with him, and just relax, let go of the stress of life, just able to feel like a human being again.
Well, that's true.
Right. It can be taxing sometimes, being away from your family, being at work, and just being away from your kids, it can be rough. And then coming back to them, not having as much time with them as you would like, So yeah, I could work more on that self-care part. Like I can work on that, but it can be hard.
I like that.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, even with the self-care thing, I think it's more of a cultural thing of what it kind of is in a way.
Right, yeah.
So I think when people think self-care, it's like, oh, I get to sit in the bathtub for about half an hour, Now, I'm not saying no one can do that. I know for me, at one point, after Barry got a certain age, it was over with. I tried. And the first thing I heard was banging on the door. And if it wasn't from him, it was from him. So yeah, I mean, there's that. But then also, it doesn't have to necessarily be like a whole elaborate plan, spa day. Sometimes, I mean, I appreciate the rides to work when I can just listen to, and like I said, I just got the one, but still just going to work, was it 20 minutes listening to a podcast or listening to a sermon, or honestly, even just some music to get me hyped for work sometimes, or something like that. So, I mean, I think self-care can be, so many different things, but I think that sometimes we kind of see it as like a whole elaborate spa day and this isolation from everything for, hours. It doesn't have to be that. It can be small bits and pieces, even throughout the day, even. So,
yeah.
I think when I think about self-care, it gives me the time to think about myself. I'm not Jonathan's wife. I'm not mama or bruh. I'm Heather. And that's what, even if it's sitting like in a bathtub for 30 minutes, I don't do that, but just to sit there and focus on who I am and who I'm trying to be, and realizing that I still am me, like I still am a person. I'm not this entity that is a wife or as a mom or as an employee, or I'm a person. And I think that's what's the hardest as a mom, to realize ourselves is we're still Heather, and we're still Ashley, and we're still Quay, and we're still people.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. I think one of my and here's, I'm just gonna be honest, this next question originated for me because this is something that I know that we both have struggled with, and usually we step on some toes when we have to set down some boundaries. But I think when COVID happened, of course our son was born in 2020, so it was kind of like when
smack dab in the middle,
like right when COVID was at its highest. And people wanted to touch, rub, hug, whatever the case may be. They just wanted to physically occupy our child. And so, being new parents, it's almost like you try to set the boundaries. You try not to be aggressive or mean to people because you don't want to come off that way. But at the same time, it's like, hey, listen, this is my kid. If he gets sick, you're not going to have to deal with it. I am. And so I'm curious your thoughts on this. How do you share your children with the congregation without losing appropriate / necessary boundaries? And we'll start with Heather first.
Okay, so I looked at this question all wrong, and I thought it meant like discipline-wise. So
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, go ahead. It depends. Okay. It's not a certain way to look at it. I'm just telling you what I thought about it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go discipline because my kids are older and they've developed an immune system, and they can. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. My brother called me. I have a look, and they have to ask me, Mama, can I go sit with so-and-so? That's fine. We're on a strike basis. You have 3 strikes. And if you get to that 3rd strike, you know what happens. And I just have to look at them. So normally I'm sitting on the 3rd row, and they'll on the, let's say the right hand side, they're on the left hand side. I just have to turn and look, and they know, and they're quiet. So I believe I've set boundaries with my children enough that the people around them respect it. They have to ask that person, hey, Miss So-and-so, can I sit with you and your family? And if they say yes, then okay. If they say no, then you got to come back to mama. So it's really, I've said it with my children.
I like that.
I let the people know, hey, you have my full permission if they need a correction. And I know discipline is one of these questions. You can correct them. Please correct them. It takes a village to raise a child. And being 9 hours from my village, my family, I need a village here. So I had to set up a boundary of people. So it's just, they know my expectations. My boys do. So I've created a boundary with them.
I like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ashley, how about you?
Heather, I love that answer. I really do. That's something that I could work on with my boys. I think they do. I do set boundaries with them to an extent, but it can be better. For instance, if the members offer them candy instead of coming to me and asking me, sometimes they'll just go ahead and open it, and I'll have to tell them, listen, you do not open the candy without my permission. You have to come to me. I do talk to them. As far as like, setting members, I don't really have a problem with that. Like telling members, hey, don't do that, or don't. They usually are respectful already, and they'll ask me. But yeah, I don't really have that problem like that. Honestly.
Oh, that's good.
yeah. That's why it was a little hard for me to answer that question.
I had one issue, and in the South, if you get up during service to go to the bathroom, that is a no-no. And one lady told Parker, my youngest, like, you can't go to the bathroom during service. So from 9:45 to 11:45, you have to hold it. Well, he was holding it to the point that he was having accidents. Oh. And he's 5'6". I mean, he's completely potty trained. So I had to go, and she did it in love, but I had to go, and I'm like, look, if he says, hey, if he's sitting with you and says, I need to go use the potty, you just let him. And that's fine, because he's not making it to 11:45. So if it ever happens, you just have to go talk to him, woman to woman, adult to adult, and really say, hey, like y'all said, this is my child. This is how we parent. This is how we raise them. This is what we expect. And they know, they already know that that's what you expect. So you just have to, you got to communicate is the biggest.
I like that. Yeah. I think we haven't had to deal with anything super extreme. I think with us, primarily just little stuff. Like, of course, when a baby comes in, people want to hold him or pick him up, kiss on them, kiss on them, touch their face, dig in their nose practically. But I mean, a few times we had to kind of step up even outside of our comfort zones to set a boundary for the people, not necessarily our son, but just for the people. Like, hey, don't pick them up. I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, you don't have a mask on. You're breathing everywhere. We don't want him to catch anything, because if that happens, we got to take him to the hospital. And I mean, we all did get COVID eventually, and we're pretty sure we got it from church. And so,
what I did with Grace, I stayed home with her and I listened to the sermon on TV when the pandemic was going on. I kept her at home with me, because we knew that we would have to deal with that kind of stuff, and just to protect her. You know, that's how we went about it, so we wouldn't have to deal with that. You know, I'm not certain that they would have. I would think they would be respectful. You know, but you can't know that for everybody. So
right.
Yeah, I mean, because like even since Bari is so young and was even younger then, yeah, that was, I mean, personally for me, that was more challenging because I mean, Daniel is he's more of the outspoken personality. So while it was still challenging for him, I felt like I was like, okay, they probably got to get close to his face. You got to say something. Can you say something? You know? And so, and then sometimes, I mean, actually most times like, okay, oh, please don't touch his face, you know, something like that. And it wasn't even just COVID for me. I mean, sure, that was the tip of it, like an additional thing, but
we thought this was just basic.
I didn't want you touching his face, whether it was COVID or not, you know, and just the small things because he was so little. And then some days I'd even have like, I'd be a little anxious to even go because I'm like, oh, man, all right, well, let me go and get ready to tell people not to touch my baby, you know, or something like that. And then some people will be, oh, yeah, I understand. And they be just fine with it, still play with them and, you know, without touching all in his face and stuff. And then also some people were like, most people were good. Some people were like, oh, okay, if it's that serious, you know. And like Daniel said, it is our baby. If he catches anything, like we're the ones that are gonna have to go to the doctor or the ER or, you know, administer the health care that he would need. So
yeah, and I mean, I love both of your answers on it. I think, of course, we're still learning in that area. It's just trying to make sure, because I feel like you can pretty much judge how people view you as a person, but even more so as parents and a couple by the boundaries you set and if they continue to cross them or if they even cross them in the first place. You know what I mean? So that was a big one for me. So I mean, I appreciate you guys and your answers on that.
It varies by age, like she said.
True, too. Yeah, it does vary by age. Yeah. Did you want to take this one?
Oh, sure. Yeah,
I think we yield to Ashley this time. Yeah.
Okay. So what is your view on discipline? I guess what should it accomplish? You know, what are the methods of discipline that you guys use? How do you determine when to discipline your children during worship service? So things such as like making them sit down, taking them out of service.
I believe in discipline very strongly. I believe is very necessary because it helps to let your children know the severity of what they're doing wrong. Because if you don't teach them now, you're just setting them up for failure. So I feel like discipline is definitely necessary. How we go about it, we do warnings. We sit down, we talk to them. We try to get them to understand why you should not do this. We do punishment. There's no recreational activities because we don't reward bad behavior. And our last resort, which we barely have been doing lately, is spanking. That's the last thing we want to do. But if it comes to it, yes, we do that. Mm-hmm. As far as in the worship assembly, I would, if they do cut up, I would have to just take them out and I talk to them. And I let them know what is to be expected when you're in assembly, why we're here. Sometimes if they don't understand why they're here, they're not gonna, behave. So I try to get them to understand. I try to get them involved with the singing. When we're singing, stand up when everyone's standing. And for the most part, they're really good in worship. They have a class during worship for the children, for them to go be dismissed downstairs for class. So we just allowed them to do that. At first, they were just staying in assembly with us, with me, and just sitting with me in the back. And we finally let them just go ahead and go downstairs. So, yeah.
Yeah, we have the same thing actually. The classes where the children are dismissed and they go downstairs. What do we call it?
Bible pals.
Yeah,
right?
Bible pals. Yeah, that's what it's called. So, But I love that. Getting the children to understand why they are there in the first place, and I think that is a big part of it. Participate in the worship service, yeah, all of that jazz. I think that could definitely help out a ton. So, Heather, we're going to yield to you now. What are some of your methods, or how do you view discipline?
Well, I view it very strongly. We're on a strike system. 3 strikes, you're out, just like baseball. Typically on Sunday mornings, we start with 2 strikes because that's how they could be angels. And before we get to worship, this is how serious worship is. Mm-hmm. This is how of utmost importance I hold it. I spank. I have a wooden spoon in my pew, and now, you know, I'm getting to the point where I don't have to use it as much, but it is just quiet enough, but firm enough to just like a little quick pop on the thigh, and it calms them down. I was worried about. I had to take out Carson when we first got here. And I mean, I can't even remember if it was our tryout, but like we were being interviewed. But I took him out and handled business how I deemed fit. And then we came back in. Well, Parker is like, I want to go outside. And Carson, tears in his eyes, he said, no, you don't. You don't want to go out there. So I try to always tell them I do not spank when I'm angry, because this spanking is not hurting them. And like before the podcast, I was talking to Carson. He's the oldest. I said, Carson, what is something you would change about me? And he's like, I wouldn't change nothing. And I was like, well, what about like when I discipline you? And he's like, but I know why you're doing it. You're not just spanking me because you want to spank me. You're spanking me to show me that I've done something wrong and not to do that again. And he's like, and you talk to me too. You tell me why. So it, like, I feel like as a mom win that, you know, they finally understand discipline and punishment and reward is they go all hand in hand. You know, when you're good, you get something. When you're bad, you get something. And if we don't do it now as parents, somebody's gonna come behind us, and it's not gonna be, they're not gonna discipline the way we would, you know. And I don't know, it's a fine line, discipline is, and it goes by parents and by people and culture and standards. And so what may work for Ashley's 5 may not work for mine. What works for my 2 may not work for her 5. So it's hard to judge, like, oh, she's a gentle parent, or oh, she's a corporal punishment parent. You know, it's hard. You can't do that.
That's true.
Yeah.
You know, like I think Carson took something from the store one time and he didn't realize it. And it was a piece of candy. I said, Carson, that's stealing. I said, we're going to go back to the store and you're going to apologize and you're going to pay for this piece of candy. And when we got home, look, I'm kind of extreme. Oh man. But I said, when you steal, you go to jail. When you go to jail, you get 3 hots and a cot, 3 hot meals and a bed. So I proceeded to take everything out of his room except for a mattress. And for 3 days, he slept on just a mattress and ate Cheerios and white bread. And that was that's probably a little bit more extreme than I probably should be reporting on a podcast. Can we edit this out? Is that possible?
Oh, that is good stuff. That's good stuff.
I feel like that's more needed in some people. So,
what if I don't do it now? Somebody will, and he really will be behind bars because he put something in his pocket because I did it when I was 8, or I did it when I was 7, or so. It's hard to you have to figure out what works with your child and your situation. And you can't take that from, you have to hold that discipline dear to your heart, because that is your child. You're responsible for that child for 18 plus years.
Mm-hmm. You know, that's what I love about it, because discipline, most people just look at it as, oh, well, I have to punish. It's not about solely punishing. It more so instructing. Like you want to teach or instruct, curb bad behavior, of course, but also discipline is to help someone to think through, something they've done. And I appreciate my parents for that. I wasn't just hit upside the head. I was talked to. I hated it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and act like and pretend that I liked it. My dad will whoop me, and then after that, try to talk to me. Worst thing ever. Worst thing ever. You just I felt like I was physically abused or assaulted, and now you want to talk to me. But now at an older age, I get it. And so when Key disciplined Jabari, even though he probably doesn't understand everything, we try to explain to him, in very short words, because we're not going to speak full sentences, but, you don't do this because of this. And, he'll kind of look with the tears in his eyes, and we usually know that he gets the message. So,
yeah. Now, also speaking of teaching and instructing, what ways do you ladies like to teach your children about God and the Bible? So do you have a particular method that you found to be most rewarding? Songs, readings, what kind of stuff do you guys like to do?
And we'll yield to Heather this time.
We sing everything. Everything. My boys love music and they love beats. And if it can be made into a song, it's, we're teaching 66 books of the Bible, so we made a song about it. And then we made a song about how many books are in the New Testament, how many books are in the Old Testament. And if it can be put to a beat and to something fun, then that's what we tend to do. Carson has gotten into where he wants to read the Bible. So we just let him just stand there and read, and it always starts in Genesis. And he reads it, and Parker will get up there, and he can't read yet, but Carson tries to show him, okay, this is what this says. So we teach on a hands-on instruction, and I think that's what's kind of helped with rambunctious boys. We go put our feet in the dirt, and we're like, okay, on what day did God create trees and grass? And we go fishing. Well, what day did God create fish? And the boys like to hunt or walk around in the woods, and look at this creation, at what God created. And then it's very we're very, very hands-on.
I love that. I like that. Ashley, how about you?
It's very similar to what I try to do with the boys. I try to relate it to them. Also, I like to do Bible stories. I'll read them Bible stories, and we'll have a discussion about it so that they understand the account. We've been doing memory verses. I have them doing Ephesians 6:1. Children obey the Lord, for this is right.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm gonna write that down.
Understand what that means. Also, 1 Peter 5:7, casting all your cares upon him, for he careth for you. And I, explain to them what that means. And I've learned that, the more that I engage with them on spiritual matters, I feel like they're connecting with God, because I have my oldest, he'll say, Mom, I love God. He said he loves Sonic.
Oh.
He loves Sonic. He said, besides Sonic, I love God. so God is above Sonic. So I feel like that makes me feel like I'm doing something right,
That's a mom win. You got to claim that.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, Sonic pretty cool too. Now, yeah, you got to claim that one, boy.
Yeah.
I like that.
I was gonna just ask this really quick though. So in your experience, ladies, so some would say, oh, they're so young, they don't understand certain things. Do you think there's ever a point where it's too soon too early?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the earlier the better. I feel like you're equipping them. You know?
I totally 100% agree. You know, sitting in service one Sunday morning, Jonathan was talking about upon this rock I will build my church, and like he's saying that scripture, the full length scripture, but I hear Parker, my 6-year-old, under his breath quoting it too, and I'm like, yes.
Right.
You know, like I wanted to be like, did y'all hear that? Of course nobody did, but you know, now it's like, yes, like you're finally getting it. Like, yeah, like we've been doing this for 6 years and you're finally getting it. So I mean, loving God more than Sonic. You got to claim those small victories, because that might be a battle, you know, and we win that battle, but we are equipping them to win the war against everything else that's coming. You know, all these arrows that are heading our way as Christians, as families, it's just, man, that's awesome. Love God, Sonic. I mean, that's just, you know, like I love that.
I was impressed with that. I was like, wow, okay.
I know personally, like even for Jabari, being that he's only like, he's not even 2 yet. But at first I used to wonder. I used to try to do everything like as far as teaching him about creation. Of course, he's a little one, so he'll just look at me. But then like even more recently though, as he got older, he started knowing the songs that we would sing about creation, you know, and then now, like, yesterday, he has like a little tiny Bible that I found at the Dollar Tree. And so I always sing songs about the Bible to him, and I have him like pat it and, you know, open the pages, and I make up a little song. And so anyway, yesterday he just came up to me and just said, Bible. And he just handed it to me. And I was like, you're going to make me cry, man. You know,
yeah.
I had a little mom moment.
That you need to claim that as small as it seems to you, it's huge to OG moms that have been there and that remember those times when our babies were that little, and that's awesome, and congratulations. I know that's
oh man. Yeah, I was proud. I told her, she don't give herself enough credit, but of course that's what I'm there for. You know, I can praise her when she won't praise herself. But you know, I told her, I said, when he came up, I think 3 days ago, and you know, hit me in the chest with the Bible. And usually that's what Barry does, because he loves to read. So he hits you in the chest with the book that he wants you to read, and then he just sits down on you. And so I'm up typing, I'm doing schoolwork, and next thing you know, boom, I said, all right. I said, let's read. And you know, and then he said, Bible? And I jumped. I said, Key. You know, that's usually, so 2 reasons I say that. Like, I'm like, Key is usually out of some form of excitement, whether it's angry excitement or happy excitement, but usually it's some form of excitement. And so I was like, Key. And she said, oh, what I do now? I said, you did something amazing. I was like, you taught this man to say Bible. And she was like, oh yeah. And of course she's like, yeah, we been did that. I'm like, well, I'm just not hearing it. So that's I said, that's pretty great. And one other thing that she does too that I love, and both of you guys have mentioned, when all too often I think children are sort of put in front of the television to be entertained by something else, to find creations that men have come up with to be fun and creative and exciting. But what Key does, she actually gets Bari excited for God. Like, you know, they're marching, you know, they sang the creation song, and when she does it, you know, Bari he's about to go crazy and hurt himself before she can even finish the song, because he finds it that exciting. And so I just think, I mean, kudos to all you guys. I mean, it's about moms anyway, but just if no one tells you enough, that is remarkable, seriously, to have the children love God at such a young age. So I'm gonna be the one to praise you for that.
Oh, appreciate you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Now we got just two more questions remaining. I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. How about you?
I have too, man. I've learned so much. My heart was pricked a few times, and I got some new goals for the week.
Yeah,
particularly for Sunday and Saturday night.
Yeah, I was gonna say Sunday. I'm still caught up on the Sunday one. Yeah. So Ashley, this time we're gonna yield to you first. When do you get most overwhelmed Like how do you deal with the external factors causing stress and care for your children?
Ooh, I get more overwhelmed when there's piles of dishes, as we discussed earlier, and laundry is backed up, and I still have to tend to kids' homework. When there's a lot going on, that's when I get mostly overwhelmed. But what I have learned to do, I've learned to prioritize and break up my workload instead of trying to do everything in one day. I have a little OCD, so sometimes a part of me wants to just get it done right then. Right. Sometimes I have to be like, Ashley, you can't do that to yourself. You're gonna kill yourself. Your kids need you. So sometimes you just have to just let it go and just do what you can.
I love that. Heather, how about you?
I go on call. I'm on call every other week. And so that's when it's every other week I get the most overwhelmed. It's I hate to talk about myself when people have just lost a loved one, but like this past week, I think we ended up getting like 15, and I was on call, and it was the hardest week I've had since I've been there. And for my phone to go off, and my boys know what it means, and they're like, oh, you haven't even had dinner, or we haven't even had a bath, or Mom, we've got this and we've got that, and I have to say, I can't. I can't do this for you. Or, Mom, did you by chance wash my pants I need for tomorrow? No, because I got a call at 10, 12, and 2, and I fell asleep in the car. So it's working. Man, being a working parent is hard. And being a stay-at-home mom is hard too. And that's why I didn't enjoy it. I loved it, but it was hard. So I had to find myself again. But just juggling work, the wife duties, the mom duties, the employee duties, and then my duties, I pretty much stay overwhelmed, really and truly. I've kind of learned how to handle it, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, most people do, and I think one of the reasons why I thought to put the question in is because I get to, of course, observe my wife, and I can see that she's overwhelmed often, and so I try to do my best to take a lot of that pressure and stress off of her. But of course, we all deal with some form of stress, and but one thing I say that she's a medical psychologist, Kelly McGonigal. She said this about stress. She said, when your body is beginning to heat up, your heart is beginning to race, and you feel like you're about to go crazy, you feel this burst of energy as a response to stress. She's like, don't look at it as a bad or negative thing. Actually look at it as your body preparing you for the challenge. And I was like, all right. So now when I get stressed, and I'm just speaking about me, when I get stressed, I try to look at it as my body is gearing me up to be able to conquer whatever it is that I'm about to face, instead of being afraid of it. And then, because if I am, I usually don't handle it well. So, I mean, you have anything you want to say?
That's a really good point, because Jonathan, he shuts down. If he gets stressed or overwhelmed, I mean, he gets in his mind, and he's almost, I'm looking at him, and I can touch him, and I can see him, and I can hear him, but he's not there. Like, he just goes, oh, get on back in there. Get on back. He just
abandoned the ship now.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's, I don't know if it's just but man, and that stresses me out. I'm like, dude, like you got a big pile right here, like you got a lot to do. Like, you can't be shutting down, because I feel like I have to pick up that load too, and that stresses me out. So I'm like, look, pick it up and let's do this together. So
Well, we're gonna skip past that. We're gonna go ahead and go to the.
I'd like to chime in a little bit.
Come on, chime in.
Well, yeah, honestly, I know personally, I sometimes struggle with the whole guilt thing, like you said, with the whole working mom thing. It's like I go to work, you're there working hard, come home, and then it's like I know I'm tired, but it's like, if I can give this much to people at work, I can give so much more to my family. But then, boy, I'm tired. And so I'm like, Lord, where am I going to get this energy from? And especially nowadays, like I'm about to have this baby soon and I'm feeling it. And so therefore I'm like, okay, all right, let's go get the coffee on the way home. Let's go drop by Scooters or Starbucks. And when we get home, we got to be on 100, we got to go ahead and do it. And then, like you said, like even with the whole being a wife thing, sometimes I'm still trying to find that balance with, okay, the motherhood thing. Okay, with Bari, I have a set routine. I can kind of get down, but then also I feel like on one hand, I'm sometimes neglecting this old guy right here. And then it's like, yeah. I mean, even at work today, I was like, man, you know what? Okay, the mother thing, I'm still learning as I go. The wife thing, I'm still learning as I go. But I said, man, I feel like I'm just missing something here when it comes to the wife thing. And it's just, I don't know. I constantly go through that mental battle because it's like, okay, well, mom, wife, and you're trying to just find the fine line and figure out, okay, when should I allocate time to this and that? And then also working. It's a journey. I mean, to say the least for me right now, it's more of a internal struggle, especially I think being new to all of it still. So
yeah, did it go ahead, Ashley?
Oh no, I was just saying, no, that don't down yourself because that's totally normal. It is a balancing, like you feel like you're juggling more than one hat, and sometimes you're gonna do things right, sometimes you're not. It's just it's just more of you're still learning and growing. And I have to say I'm still in that boat right now, and I still have moments where tending more to the kids, and I feel like I'm neglecting my husband still. I still feel that way. And so it's just something that, it's something we just got to grow and constantly work at. But it's totally normal.
And I have to think of this way. And I neglect Jonathan probably way more than I realize and way more than I would ever admit to. But in 10 years, 10 to 13 years, it's just going to be me and Jonathan. So if I neglect him now, who am I going to be married to in, 10, 13 years? Like, am I going to know who this man is that is sleeping in my bed that I'm waking up to every morning? So as hard as it is, I try to give a little bit of time to him. And I'm like, okay, Carson Parker, y'all, it's me and daddy time. Like, I've got to talk to him. I've got to communicate with him, because if we don't communicate now, then we're not going to be communicating in 10 years.
Boy, that's a mic drop. I like that.
But we're talking about us here. Shout out to the husbands that stay home so we can go to work. Right. I wish I could get into Jonathan's head and know like how hard it is for him to be a full-time preacher, but staying home. Like, our kids are off of school for 2 weeks. Like, that's 2 Sundays. That's 2 Wednesdays that he's having to prepare for while keeping kids. Like, while being a parent himself. Like, I wish I could understand and see, like, inside his mind and inside his heart how he's feeling. But
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, it's about y'all. This
well, little brain thing for June. Whenever you're talking to the fathers, you have to talk to the ones that stay at home so their wives can work.
Oh yeah. It's and I mean, we talked about it I think quite a few times. Of course, my schedule, and I'm pretty sure Jonathan's schedule too, it's a little bit more flexible than, say Key's or yours or Ashley's, because I mean, we don't necessarily punch a time clock, and which I'm grateful for. I'm grateful to have the flexibility, and I usually try not to bother her if I can absolutely do it anyway. So to me, it's a no-brainer. I try not to even complain about it. No, I'm just grateful to God that I can. At least one of us can do it. So that's my big thing. But this is the last question, the final one, and I think it is probably one of the most important.
All righty. I guess that means I should ask it. What advice would you give to new Christian moms who are married to the preacher?
And who started with last time? Did we start with you last time, Ashley? I keep getting mixed up.
I think it's Ashley.
Okay, is it me? Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember. I keep getting mixed up.
I would have to say just be yourself. Be honest with people. They will appreciate you for it. Don't let anybody make you feel less than because you're not doing something that they expect you to. As long as you are doing what God requires of you, it does not matter what they say or think of you. And try to find time for yourself. That is most important, because if you don't, you're going to lose your sanity. So you do have to take some time for yourself. I'm not saying that I'm perfect at it. I'm still trying. And when the times that I have tried, I've felt the peace. So I would just, advise that you do that.
Okay. Ashley or Heather, you have anything you want to add?
Strive to be a Christian, first and foremost.
Top of the line.
Top of the line, because when you're striving to be a Christian, the rest is smooth. Not smooth. Hold on. It's easier to deal with the rest of it. So I strive to be a Christian. I strive to be a member of the Lord's church. I strive to be a wife. And then I strive to be a parent. And then I strive to be an employee. And if I could tell a new Christian married to the preacher who's a new mom, this too shall pass. This hardship that you go through will pass. And if you are just, like Ashley said, if you're just honest with yourself, you're honest with others, honesty and communication, I am an advocate for. I believe in communication. I think if you don't communicate, you bottle it in, you hold it in, you're gonna bust eventually, and it could be on the wrong person. I don't want to yell at my children if I've had a hard day. I want to communicate with them as they're 8 and 6, but I want to say, listen, I had a hard day at work today. I dealt with a lot of things that I don't want y'all to know about. Just hug me. Just love me. Give me a hug. And the same with my congregation. Hey, I had a hard day today. Just love me. Just pray for me. Jonathan, I've had a hard day today. Just love me. Just pray for me. And really communicate what you're feeling on the inside to anybody and everybody. And that's what I would say, because that's something we don't do as people. I feel like we hold everything in and try to fix our own issues and our own problems without the help of others. And I think being a part of the Lord's church, man, we got brothers and sisters that we can call on and say, hey, I'm your preacher's wife. Pray for me. I'm these kids' mom. Pray for me. I'm the wife of Jonathan. Pray for me. And and that probably sounded worse than it. Let's edit that out too.
I got you.
But I don't know, just communicate. I would stress that. And I think that's what I learned at Memphis is, and that was the best 2 years of our life. I mean, every time I think about it, it makes my heart swell to know that that I've sat at the feet of people that have been through what I've gone through, and that, yeah, they can look at me and say, I've been there. I know where you're at. Let me help you. And that's what I hope this podcast does for y'all is I've been there and Ashley's been there, and we know where you're at. We've had a 20-month-old. Like we know what you're going through. We've been pregnant with another baby on the way. Like we know what you're going through, and really just understanding the hardships that we have daily.
Masterfully said. I couldn't have said it better myself.
I know. I don't even got any words for it. I'm letting it soak in.
Well, seeing as how it is Mother's Day, I would let you do the honors of thanking our guests at least.
Yes.
Well, first, can I just butt in real quick?
Yeah.
I personally want to thank you for your transparency and just being open and honest. This isn't easy. All right. I mean, it's hard to get on and talk about yourself a little bit and, sort of share your wisdom. And usually people think you have to be a lot older, maybe 100+ years old before you can talk to people about, being a mother and how to, how you deal with your children and vice versa. So I just want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for even letting me be on too, because it's I know it's specifically for mothers, but I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot.
Well, it's airing out dirty laundry that we're not supposed to have.
Right.
But we all got it. And I'm so thankful to be a part of this, because I know Ashley's got dirty laundry and I've got dirty laundry. And now I just found out that my laundry in Louisiana and her laundry in Michigan is the same.
Right.
We're struggling, but we're striving too.
Yeah, I love it.
Struggling and striving.
I want to say thank y'all so much for this. It helped me too, because it made me feel like I'm not alone. Heather, I've learned so much from you. Thank you so much. And I love you, Key. Like y'all are amazing. I appreciate this experience. And I'm hoping that, this will help somebody out there that is going through the same thing as well. So.
Oh yeah, honestly, I'm thanking you guys personally. Like I said at first, I knew I was gonna get some wisdom, and I mean, like, throughout the whole time I've been hearing, don't be so hard on yourself, but then also I've learned so many ways in which I can step my game up as well.
Right.
And so that's my thing. Like I'm like, okay, yes, you're not gonna have the perfect day every day. You're not gonna always have all the ducks in a row. But also I learned all the things, I saw the things I can improve on. I'm like, man, that's a good idea, and so, and I said, like I said, at times my heart was pricked. I was like, man, I probably should do something like that, or do less of that, or focus more on this and that.
As long as your ducks are in the same pond, they don't gotta be in line.
See, there we go. See, that's what I'm saying. So yes, I mean, like for me personally, and I know like a lot of other new moms out there that are still battling with things like guilt and just trying to find a balance, that honestly, a lot of us really, like Ashley said, like years into it, they, finding that balance is going to be very challenging. But honestly, I think it's more so about the shift of the balance. So I don't think there's ever going to be a perfect line or a perfect balance between what we do as mothers and employees and wives. But like you said, Heather, struggling but striving. So like I said, that I've been very uplifted, to say the least, really, by you guys. So I appreciate you guys for being on the podcast today, not just for me, but for all the other women out there that will be listening, and men too. So
yeah, because we can learn a lot from it. So thank you guys so much again for accepting the invitation, and trying out this new deal. So we'll be looking for your podcast here soon.